2, 3, funky.
Hi guys, this is Eos, and welcome to the Day Night Podcast. As you might have noticed, Selena's not on this podcast, and that's because of our posting schedule. Basically, we are going to post every week, but in order to do that, it's quite hard to do podcasts together. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do one podcast of us together, and then the next week one podcast of just one of us, and then again together one of us. And this is my week, so I got you guys all to myself, and I'm going to be talking about, according to Forbes, America's richest family, the Waltons. Now, in 2020 alone, the Waltons had a net worth of $247 billion. That's a lot of money. It really is a lot of money. It's, now I forget how much money Elon Musk has, but it's a lot of money. I don't really need to explain much after that. For those who don't know, the Walton family is the family that owns Walmart. They own 50% of the stocks, which, if you don't know, that's a lot of stocks. If you think about it, Elon Musk only needed 7% of the stocks to acquire Twitter. Walmart has 50% of the stocks. That's it. Really, it's a lot of stocks. The creators of Walmart, of course, were Sam Walton and James Walton, and some people even say Helen Walton, which is Sam Walton's wife. But in this episode specifically, I'm going to be talking a lot also about Rob Walton, Jim Walton, and Alice Walton, as well as Greg Penner. Rob, Jim, and Alice are the three sons and daughters, three children of Sam Walton. And then Greg Penner is married to Rob Walton's daughter, and he's a current chairman on Walmart. So it's also an interesting point to say. Now, I'm sure all of you know of Walmart. Walmart is a pretty famous company. It is, in fact, the biggest retailer in the whole world. In terms of money, they make more money than any other retailer in the world. So, a pretty big deal. One of their websites the sayings or whatever is from humble beginnings to redefining retail. And honestly, that's a really good way of putting it, because one of the reasons that Sam Walton is so famous is because, according to Forbes, he was a pioneering businessman who broke convention and showed that large discount stores could thrive in small rural areas. Yeah, basically, Sam Walton redefined the game of retail. Retailers usually sold very, very expensive things, or they didn't want to sell things at a discount price because they thought, oh, we're not going to make enough money. Sam Walton thought, no, we will make enough money. We will make enough money because if you put things cheap, people want to buy at your store instead of the competitors. He changed the competitive game of stores and made stores want to go cheaper instead of more expensive. He also really advocated for getting big stores in rural areas, which is why there's so many Walmarts in small villages and such, because he just thought that that's the people who will go to that store. And to be honest, he's not wrong. He really was not wrong. He made billions off of Walmart, and he was a great businessman up to his death in 1992. Now, let's start from the beginning, shall we? Sam Walton was born in 1918 in a small town in Oklahoma. His mom and dad were farmers according to one site, bankers according to another. Honestly, I didn't understand much, but all in all, he came from humble beginnings. He served as an army captain in World War II, which is pretty cool, I would say, but also, not great, because World War II was not great on one's mental health, but he helped America. That's pretty cool, I guess. And once he got out, he married his not now wife, but then wife, Helen Walton. Him and Helen married in 43 or something, and they stayed together until the end. They had 4 beautiful children together, and they were a very happy couple. They loved each other very much. Sam Walton always complimented Helen and was always very happy with her. And apparently her family loved him too as well, because he received a $25,000 loan from his father-in-law, Helen's dad, to open a Ben Franklin franchise. Now that doesn't, for those again who don't know what a franchise is a company that it's not a company, it's a system that allows individual stores to be opened by independent proprietors, which is, basically, McDonald's worked this way too. If you want to open a McDonald's, for example, you have to meet the right requirements, you have to look the right way, you have to have the right standards, and then you sign like a contract with McDonald's or whatever, and you can have your own McDonald's franchise in like a building store of McDonald's. Now it is not yours, you have to sell a part of it to McDonald's every month or so. I don't know how McDonald's works, to be honest, but in general you run it, you're the manager, you're the boss, but it's a different company. Does that kind of make sense? But yeah, so Sam Walton had a Ben Franklin franchise with his Helen, some people say, but everyone knows that it was also with his brother, James Bud Walton. Now, James is usually, I say James Bud Walton because a lot of people just call him Bud, so that's what also I'm going to do. James is 3 years younger than Sam, born in 1921, and he also fought in World War II as a Navy pilot. Now, although he did help run the Ben Franklin franchise, most people still accredit most of the success to Sam, since he had that more charisma and the dedication. That doesn't mean that James didn't do as much, but really the name Walton is a lot more associated with Sam than it is with James. Now, after less than 2 decades, after less than 20 years, these two already had 15 stores of the Ben Franklin franchise, but Sam was getting a bit frustrated with management. As I told you before, he really believed that rural areas should have big franchise stores and big retail stores, but the management didn't want that. They wanted to stay in the cities and stuff. Helen as well was getting kind of annoyed because not annoyed. She is also a small town girl, and she wanted to live in a small town with Sam. They had been moving a lot in the past 16 years of their life, and they just wanted to settle. She just wanted to settle down, have a nice space, and be happy with her family of now 4 children. So Sam decided to start his own company, and that's when he founded Walmart. The first Walmart opened in 1962 in Rogers, Arkansas. Sadly, this store doesn't exist anymore, I checked, but it is still used as a landmark, and you can find it on Google Maps if you search it up. But yeah, 1962, they opened their first store, and only 5 years later, the family already owns 24 stores, with a $12.7 million in yearly revenue. 5 years, you guys. 5 years. Needless to say, Sam is a great businessman. He knows how to make things work, and with his experience in retail, he knows how to manage Walmart. 3 years later, Walmart goes public, and the first stock is sold at $16.50. Now, before this, all of his 4 children had already been born, and Walton had already given 50% of the stocks to his children before they went public, which means that even before Walmart became a multi-billion-dollar industry, the family already had 50% of the stocks.
Okay, so I said 50, it's actually 80%, a lot more. And, it makes sense then for them to sell 30% when they needed money or whatever, and they still have 50% today, but it was 80%.
This is crucial for them remaining this rich and this wealthy. 1972, Walmart is listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and yearly sales reached $78 million. That's about 5 years after his sales were only $12.7 million. Guys, I have to stress this. This is a big, big deal. Because only 8 years later, they already have $1 billion in annual sales. What the fuck? I'm sorry for my language, but Sam, they really are amazing. And I can't believe that this has happened and no one really talks about this, but this grew so big. A lot of the times, you know, I look at retailers and whatnot, and it's just, I imagine that they've been there forever. Like, to me, Walmart has always existed or something. But no, it started in 1962. It started a bit more than 50 years ago. And yet, it's a billion-dollar industry. And the family members are still alive. I mean, Sam Walton isn't, but most other people are. We have just entered the third generation. And, for those who don't know, third generation is usually the one that crashes. But as I'll tell you later, that doesn't even seem to be the case. Walmart has existed for 50 years. Keep that in your head. Your grandparents were probably born before Walmart existed. 10 years later, Walmart is America's number one retailer. Number one retailer. That's in 1990. So Sam had already retired at that point. At that point, his oldest son, Rob Walton, had already begun working at Walmart and helping his dad out, including all his other children. But Rob Walton is the eldest son. He's a son that will inherit everything. He's the most important son. As an eldest child, I always love that about, eldest are always the best. I'm totally not biased. But 2 years later, Sam Walton dies. It's a horrible thing. Well, not a horrible thing. He was already pretty old. He had a really nice life. He already had grandchildren at that point. He lived a life with his wife and children, and he, had a lot of money. So all in all, I'm pretty sure he died really comfortably and pretty happy. After Sam Walton's death, Rob Walton became the chairman of the board. So before I continue telling you the story of Walmart, let's take a break and look at Rob Walton. So Rob Walton was born in 1944. Like I said, it's before Walmart even exists. He was born October 27th, and he is the oldest son of Sam Walton. Currently, he owns 1.291 billion shares of Walmart. And he is the 18th richest person, according to Forbes. That's a lot of money. I'm sorry. Every time I say this is a lot of money, I mean this is a lot of money. Because nowadays, when you're just hearing numbers, you're like, oh yeah, Elon Musk has, this amount of money. It's like, oh, he's got less than Elon Musk. He's not that rich. Guys, this is a lot of money. This is a lot of money. Most people don't even have $1 million. He has a net worth of $67.7 billion. To have this in your mind, $1 billion is $100 million. Right? Am I wrong? I might be wrong. It might be $1,000 million. I'm not that smart, to be honest. It's okay. But it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, you guys. He was the chairman of Walmart from 1992 to 2015. But before that, he had studied at the University of Arkansas and in 1966 graduated with a degree in business administration. It really sets the tone of what's to come. He married 3 times, but only had 3 children with his first wife, who he loves very dearly. And one of the, fun facts about him is that he loves to collect automobiles. He's got 3 Ferraris and 2 Porsches. So he's less humble than his father, but, that doesn't mean he's less of a person or whatever. His father, according to some sites, said to have had only 1 red pickup truck, and that was his car of choice. He lived in the same house for many, many years. And, compared to his son, it's different. But, again, different people, different lives, different priorities. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have cars. But, yeah, this is the life of Rob Walton. He is still alive today. He is the 18th richest person according to Forbes, which, you know, pretty cool, I guess. But after he took over, only 1 year after he took over, they had their first 1 billion sales week. Imagine making $1 billion in 1 week. How? I don't know how. Oh my gosh. 4 years later, they had their first $100 billion sales year. In 2002, Walmart is at the top of Fortune 500. If you don't know what Fortune 500 is, it's a very popular and famous list of the richest companies in the world. And Walmart was at the top of it in 2002. 2009, they had their first 400 billion annual sales. And now, that might seem like a lot, but at the time, compared to what they have now, it's really nothing. In 2020, after probably COVID, they had a huge jump in wealth. In 2016, the family's wealth was said to be at about 130 billion. In 2020, it was 247 billion. 247 billion, you guys. Okay. I 100% said that this is because of COVID, because honestly, COVID helped Walmart and other retailers, big retailers in America, a lot, since they have, you know, send to home websites just like Amazon, but also it's just a big place where you can have space, and little stores could hardly compare to that. A lot of little mom and pop stores went down during COVID, and everyone went to Walmart or to Target. And if you see on TikTok Walmart and Target pranks, it's just COVID, you guys. But yeah, so in 2023, right now, Walmart has a $611.3 billion revenue. It is the world's largest company by far in terms of revenue. They have 2,300,000 employees or more. This is, you know, according to Wikipedia. I couldn't find anything else, you guys. Okay. And they have 10,586 stores around the world. Most of them, of course, in America. As of September, one stock cost $164.56 compared to the stock in 1970 when it was $16. I'd say that's pretty good. That's a pretty good amount. So let's talk about the other children that I wanted to talk about. Jim Walton. Jim Walton is actually richer than his brother. He is the 17th richest person in America, although again, not by a lot. Rob has a net worth of 67.7 billion, while Jim has a net worth of 68.4 billion. You know, just 1 billion. It's like, it's nothing, you know? He also has more shares than his brother by having 1.298 billion shares of Walmart. Jim Walton was on the board of Walmart for a decade, but then his son replaced him. He is still the leader, the CEO and chairman. Actually, I don't know if he's CEO, I forgot. But he is the chairman of another bank, of a bank called Arvest Bank that was also founded by his dad. And they currently have 16 banks in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas. So all in all, pretty wealthy. He still works. He has 4 kids with a woman called Lynn McNabb. And he was born, I don't think I said it, on June 7th, 1948. So he's like 4 years younger than his other brother. They probably grow up the same way all brothers do, and then became super rich and have a lot of stuff. Like his brother, he graduated from the University of Arkansas with a degree in business. And yeah, I was wrong. He was currently the chair and chief executive officer of the Arvest Bank Group. So yeah, 17th richest person in America, Jim Walton. And now, the richest person in America, the 2nd richest woman, and the 19th richest person in the world.
I said richest person, I meant richest woman. She is the richest woman in America.
Alice Walton. this, all by the way, all the richest person, richest woman, all that stuff is from Forbes. So if I'm wrong, Forbes is wrong. Alice Walton was born October 7th, 1949. She is younger than Jim Walton, but she is the only daughter, which, you know, cool, I guess. I keep saying cool, I guess. I don't know what to say to these things. She has a net worth of $66.7 billion and 1.294 billion shares of Walmart. Unlike her brother, she graduated from Trinity University in Texas with a degree in economics. You know, she's a bit different. According to some people, she is a horse girl. Now, you know, in rich terms, that means that she owns a bunch of horses and that she has a ranch. But some people do say that she has a special talent for recognizing what young horses will grow up to be great racers and win competitions. Which, again, for rich people, big deal. Horse racing is a big deal. What I find most interesting about her, though, isn't that she's the richest woman in the USA, isn't that she is the second richest woman in the world. It isn't, in fact, that she is a horse girl. But it's that she has been involved in a lot of car crashes, including one fatal one. That's right. After having a bit of a drunk driving accident, Alice Walton killed a 50-year-old woman called Aletta Hardin. I forget if she was put in prison or if she was, you know, sentenced to had to pay some money, but she did kill a woman. And wow, yeah, I don't really know what to say. I bet I'm not being that interesting, but I don't know what to say. I find this all really interesting. The reason I started looking up the Waltons is because I found out that, you know, family-owned businesses still exist, and that family-owned companies, like rich families, still exist. So I looked up the most richest family in the world, and that happened to be the Waltons, and that's why I'm doing an episode here right now. It's crazy to me to think that there's still family-owned businesses that are this rich. It's crazy to me that they're not bigger celebrities than they are. I mean, people in the business world probably know who they are, but like regular people like us, I didn't know who they were. I really didn't. So it's just interesting to me that we don't talk about them, and instead we talk about the Kardashians or some shit. Although I do agree that their drama is great at some point. But there's... Okay, I've been also talking a lot about how, you know, money and how much money I have and how cool that is. Let me just say, in my personal opinion, I don't believe billionaires should exist. You know, I'm a socialist through and through. But that does mean that they're bad people, and that doesn't mean that they don't spend their money on good things, because they do have the Walmart Foundation. They do spend a lot of their money and a lot of their time in the education industry. They created a bunch of things, a bunch of organizations. They help a bunch of organizations to, you know, educate teachers, to help K-12 and, you know, primary students learn. And all in all, they do give back in terms of charity. And again, some people may say that this is because of the taxes and whatnot. They might be right, but at least they are giving back, and they aren't. Just because I don't like billionaires, it does not mean that they are horrible people. Also, I'm not sure I mentioned it before, but Alice Walton is actually the biggest art collector in the world. She has a gallery in her hometown where also the first Walmart was opened. Now let's talk about Greg Penner, I don't know. Greg Penner is married to Carrie Walton Penner, and they have 4 kids together. He was born on December 18th, 1969, and he's a 3rd generation. Now, as I've said before, usually the saying goes that the first generation creates the business, 2nd generation expands the business, 3rd generation brings it down. But that's not the case at all. because first generation was Sam Walton, and Sam Walton expanded the business. He already did the job for the first and second generation. I mean, of course, Rob Walton did continue to expand it, but he was only on the board for like 20 years. And again, although he did do a lot, you can't forget that Sam Walton is still alive when they had their first $1 billion in annual sales. Again, Rob Walton was also really cool. He was there for the 1 billion sales week and the 100 billion sales year. But Greg Penner is not bringing the thing down at all. The company is still going on strong. As I've mentioned before, they have a $611.3 billion in revenue. Basically every year. That's a lot. I don't know what to tell you. It's a lot of money. Greg Penner is not at all bringing the company down. The company has only grown since Greg Penner became chairman of Walmart. Greg Penner is the son of sex therapists in Pasadena. He went to Georgetown University and studied international business. He is not only the chairman of Walmart, but he's also on the board of 5 companies: of Baidu, a Chinese tech company, eHarmony, a dating app, Hyatt Hotels, Teach for America. I was telling you guys about the Walton family giving a lot of money to teachers and organizations like that. Teach for America is a nonprofit, and another nonprofit he's also on the board of is Charter School Growth. So, pretty cool guy, I would say. Pretty cool guy. He is not on any list. He doesn't have billions of share. His wife maybe may have some, but he is nowhere to see on the list of the richest people on earth, but probably still very happy, One more interesting thing about Rob Walton and Greg Penner is that Greg Penner is probably the favorite son-in-law of Rob Walton, not only because he replaced him as a chairman. I mean, don't forget, Rob Walton has 3 kids, and Greg Penner replaced him as a chairman, but also he and Rob are co-owners of the Denver Broncos NFL team. Greg Penner is CEO, Rob Walton is, the overall owner. He put the most investment in it, but this was the largest sale of any sports franchise in history. They bought the Denver Broncos for $4.65 billion. Billion with a B. They're very rich. They love the Denver Broncos, apparently. I don't know why they love the Denver Broncos, but that's probably why he's a favorite son, right? They probably love each other because of the football or whatever. This is the story of the Walton family. So currently, 50% of the stock is held by 8 members of the family. These 8 members are James Walton, who was Sam Walton's brother, Rob Walton, his son, well, not James Walton, Rob Walton's son, Sam Walton's son, Jim Walton, which was also Sam Walton's son, Alice Walton, Sam Walton's daughter, Christy Walton, Sam Walton's daughter-in-law, Lucas Walton, Sam Walton's grandson, Ann Walton, Sam Walton's niece, and Nancy Walton, also Sam Walton's niece. Sam Walton gave his kids 80% of Walmart stock before he made the company public, which is why they are still in possession of 50% of the stocks. If this is a lesson to anyone, is that if you're 54 and you're annoyed at anything and you think you can do something, and if you want to start a company, do it. That's what Sam Walton did, and it turned out pretty well for him. Now, of course, I'm not saying you're going to start $1 billion franchise company, but it could bring you something. You're never too old to start anything. Another thing is, if you want to keep your wealth, keep it in the family. But that's pretty well known, I would say. if you want your company to do well, maybe don't keep it in the family. But if you want your wealth to stay in the family, and if you want your children to be able to have the money that you worked very hard for, give most of the stock to them. If your company is public, of course. But generally, make sure that you protect your children if that's what you want to do. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. See you guys next week with an episode with Celine. Bye!